Hello everyone, and this is Skins T speaking, or as others know me, Skins T Bomb, Skins Thunderbomb, whatever. I'm here today to present you my new Pokemon card collection, which I've been collecting on and off for probably around 4 years, because I never started seriously collecting it until I actually had the money to do so, because Mew cards are very, very rare. So, I'll begin with the first card that first I fell in love with. This card here. This is the first card of Mew that was presented to the American or English-speaking public. The holographic and non-holographic versions. You can see the nice cosmic foil there. And that was the card that I've always wanted and never been able to obtain. I managed to get the non-holographic version, but in my opinion it's not nearly as impressive. But nonetheless, and that sort of spurned my ever-present need to collect every single Mew card in existence, and it has been a grueling process. So, we have Wizards of the Coast card number 8, and Wizards of the Coast promo card number 9. These are known as Black Star promos because of the Black Star. I'll have better scans and such in my video description so you can have a closer look at these cards. These were the origin of these. This was this card here, which is the Fossil Mew, is what it's known as, because it was released in the 3rd edition of the cards called the Fossil Expansion Pack, essentially, which was the 3rd collection released in, I believe, both Japan and America. Not sure on the latter. Anyway, the second Mew promotional card that we see in the public was this one called Ancient Mew. Unknown to most collectors, except for the very serious, like me, there are 4 versions of this card. I have all 4. This one here, the first card, using what is known as glitter foil, because as you can see, looks like someone just pressed a bunch of glitter onto it. It's a double holographic, which was a first in the American world. This one here is known as the Nintendo era, which, as the name suggests, had an era where Nintendo was spelled as Nintedo, which kind of hilarious. This is the corrected version of that, which is actually the rarest of the 4. Then, of course, you have the Japanese and the Cosmo Foil release. And then you have the American release. Moving on from then, you get into the set Pokemon cards, I should say. This is from EX Holland Phantoms. So, you've got the holographic and the non-holographic of this card. Pretty stock standard. The Japanese version was a Meiji, which is a chocolate company in Japan, promotional card. So it was a little harder to get. Moving on from that is, excuse me, my cord is going to get in the way, but oh well, who cares? That's better. Okay. Moving on from that, we have the World Championship deck cards. So this is the 2006 card respectively, and this is the 2007, both signed by different people who happen to use Mew in their decks and won with it, hence the name. The Mew X card from Legend Maker. Yes, I actually have to read up on these because it has been quite a while since I've actually looked at my collection, and so I've forgotten a lot of the names, so excuse me if I pause every now and then. I'm just checking up my sources. Lame, I know. Now I've got both the Japanese and the English edition, difference being that this one has a 1st edition. As if I recall correctly, the English version doesn't have any 1st editions released anymore, whereas the Japanese versions do. Moving on from that, we have the base expansion pack in Japan, which is this Mew and this one. They basically have the e-reader look, which explains this, which is pretty cool. Basically, the origin of the e-reader cards is the barcode-like effect, you'd scan it using an e-reader and it'd create digital information to be passed on to your Game Boy or such, and creates attacks and things like that. Pretty nifty. Anyway, the English version of the release was called the Expedition Base Set. There are 4 different versions of this card. Two of them, I should say, which are absolutely identical except for one small difference, and that is, you can't really see it, but it's actually the release number, so the position of which it comes into the deck. I'm not sure why they did that, but whatever. It wasn't an expensive card to get, so I'm not really all that worried. Next, you have the Holland Phantoms EX Mew. This one was rather easy to get because I happened to have purchased it when the Holland Phantoms subset was released. The Japanese card, on the other hand, was a bitch and a half to get because it came with the Mew half deck, in which I had to actually purchase the deck itself in order to get the cards, and yeah, it was messy, but in the end it was worth it because it's a stunning card. I absolutely love this card. Moving on, we have the Pop 4 release, which, when the English set was basically trying to produce every single Japanese set available into the English cards, there are still lots and lots of unidentified cards, according to Americans, that were only released in Japan. But I digress. The Japanese version of it was a Shokugan Black Star promotional card. Shokugan is a magazine in Japan. I hope I pronounced that right. I probably didn't, but whatever. Moving on to some of the older Mew cards. These 2 cards here are known as Lily Pad Mew, one of which is worth an absolute fortune, the other not so much. These were produced on glossy and non-glossy stock. The glossy card is not worth as much, but the non-glossy version is. The non-glossy version was released in the Japanese Railroad Stamp Rally, and because of its rarity, you could expect to pay between $150 to $250 just for the card alone. I was lucky. I got that card for free. The English version was just a Wizards of the Coast promotional card, so it's probably worth about $10. Bit of a shy away from the glamour of the newer cards, isn't it? Of the Japanese cards, I should say. Haha. Moving right along, we have the Legend Maker set, in which we have 2 different holographic cards differentiated with the symbol here. So, the Japanese version of the card, however, was released in another Mew half deck. Even more frustrating is that there was a first edition and an unlimited release of the same card, so I had to get 2 Mew decks. That was not fun. Moving on, we have the Nintendo Black Star promos, which were basically a copy of the Wizards of the Coast promotional card. They still have the same promo stamp down the bottom, but it was released by Nintendo instead of Wizards of the Coast, which ran out of production. I believe the last set was the Skyridge set. Really good thing too, because Wizards of the Coast were not very good. Then we have the Japanese set, which was a Toys R Us promotional card. It's promo number 80, and it's the difference between the 2, other than language, is one's non-holographic, one's holographic. Moving on, we have the Pop Series 5 cards, which reveals Delta Mew, which is a fire release. A little oddity, I don't know how many people know about this era, but see this? I don't know if you can see it clearly, but there is hollow foil all through the entire card. This is known as a holographic error. I have 2 of these cards, or 2 that have the same error. I don't know if it's just a legit error, or if it's just something that is like a one-off error, but I feel pretty damn lucky to have this card in my collection, nonetheless. So I have the non-holo and the holo version. Japanese version was one in the Battle Road, so I was extremely lucky that I was hunting for Pokemon cards in 2006 and was able to grab this card for around $15. The price of this card is uncalculated because most Battle Road promotional cards skyrocket after the year of the release. Moving on, We have two cards here. This is, again, a non-glossy and glossy differentiated. The non-glossy version was, again, the rarer one, which was released during the Next Generation World Hobby Fair in 1997. So, I can't remember exactly how I obtained this card, but I don't think I paid very much for it. The glossy card was released during the Pokemon Best Song Collection CD in 1999. It's relatively easy to obtain still. Moving on, we have the ordinary set releases. These four here were released during the Secret Wonders and or Shining Darkness collection. The difference between the two sets, of course, is the Secret Wonders collection is the American name and Shining Darkness is the Japanese name. I have the first edition, the Japanese collection there, and the rest are unlimited. So you've got your standard one, you've got your reverse holo, and this is the second one I was talking to you about, holo error card, where the holo runs through the entire card. I'm pretty lucky to obtain that one as well. I'm not even sure how I obtained it. Now, we have the Southern Islands Mew, which is a very cute card, in my opinion, very cute. And it was one of the few cards Wizards of the Coast actually produced in English. And it's called it was the original reverse holo. As you can see, the picture is not holographic, the rest of the card is. So it was the original of that, which is pretty cool, because all of the other reverse holo cards that you'll see in the future, such as this one from a recent set, they have the reverse holo, but it's not the same. It's not the cosmic foil, it's just ordinary soil sort of foil. I don't actually know the name of it. Ironically though, the Japanese version of the Southern Islands release has the same treatment. Now we get to the super rare cards from the Japanese sets. These here, this is from Dragon Frontiers in the English collection. The Japanese name is called Offense, and Defense for the further sense. Difference between the two, again, is this one is a first edition release. This one is not. This one was also a secret release in the set, whereas the Shining Mew in Japan was not a secret release. This has an unusual holographic treatment too, because the Pokemon itself is shiny, something reminiscent of the fourth Neo Genesis set, which was called Darkness vs. Light Neo Destinies, that's right, where they had the original shiny Pokemon. Unfortunately, I don't happen to own any of those cards. However, CoroCoro, a magazine in Japan, released this, Shining Mew, which again is also a reverse holo and a normal holo. So it has two different types of holographic on it, which is really cool. Most of it's treated with the glitter foil, and that one's got the cosmic and glitter foil over it. I don't know how they would have achieved that, but it's a super, super cool card. Very rare to find nowadays. Well, for a decent price anyway. I got this one down for about 20 bucks. Or 15, I think, actually. Yeah, 15 bucks. Whereas nowadays you can be expected to pay upwards of $100 for that card. Then we have these cards. These 6 cards here were all produced in Japanese but never produced in English. This one is a McDonald's promotional card, as is this one. These are from years 2002 and 2005 respectively. These two here are called Players Promos, so you have to be a member of the Players Club in order to obtain these cards. I think it was 8,000 points for this one. I'm not sure how many it was for this one. Moving on. This one here is from the Mew half deck, or Lucario half deck, from the 8th Pokemon movie, which featured Lucario and Mew respectively. Lucario not being a legendary Pokemon, but I digress. And this here is the 10th anniversary commemoration Mew. So I believe it's called Tree of Beginnings Mew is the name up the top. It's a lot longer name than usual. And it came with a binder folder, which is pretty cool. Moving on, we have the newer additions to the set. We've got Pokemon Rumble. So we've got a cute little Mew there. and its English equivalent with a nice hollow logo there. Then we've got Lost Link, or as it's known in Japan, or Triumphant as it's known as English. British stock standard, the difference being they have different logos. Now we get into trainer cards, which are awful fun. Not really, they suck. I hate it. There are 5 different versions of Field Worker. The English versions were pretty straightforward. You've got your holographic version and your non-holographic version. Japanese versions not so much. There were 2 in the Mew half decks that I talked about earlier. So I had to get the first edition and the unlimited edition of those 2 sets, and I luckily obtained both in one fell swoop. Then there was a normal version of the card released in the normal Japanese set in the Mirage Forest release, so I had to obtain that one as well, first edition. Moving on, we have the Pokemon Fan Club release, which was released in the Pop 4 set, so that was easy to obtain. Japanese one, however, was a promotional card. I'm not entirely sure how one obtains this one. I believe it was a Daisuke promo, but I don't think so. I think it was a player's promo. It doesn't actually say, so I can't exactly tell you. Anyone who's Japanese savvy, however, should be able to make it out. Nonetheless, I obtained it. Moving on, the oldest known trainer card with a Mew on it is this one, called Lucky Stadium. The full name is Hokushinetsu. These 2 cards are just paper prints because I haven't actually obtained them, although one is on its way to me. I don't know if it's real or not, so I'm not holding my breath. Championship Arena, which was given out in the 2006 Battle Road promo. The English edition is quite hard to obtain because I think there was only like, 50 or something produced. There wasn't many. Japanese one is a little easier to obtain. I'm still looking for this one, so anyone who's watching this video who can offer me a fair deal, please feel free to shoot me a PM, and don't be trolls. This one is probably the most expensive card known. It's called Victory Old Mew. It was the prize for the 2005 and 2006 Japanese Battle Road tournaments. There were probably only 100 of these cards made. I have managed to obtain one. I don't know if it's real yet, so that's why I'm not holding my breath. But if it is, well, I guess I'm just one step closer to getting my full collection. The last card I have to show you guys today is this jumbo card, which is called Mewtwo vs Mew, with Pikachu in the background there. This one is a Korokoro promo as well. I was pretty lucky to obtain this when I did, because I think I only paid about 20 bucks for it. I didn't pay that much, so I'm pretty happy. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed that little sort of interview into something, a little collection which I pride myself on.